Okie dokie. All right. Welcome to this workshop, masterclass, whatever you want to call it. We're going to be talking about how to read Oracle cards. Mostly intuitively. That's usually the way I teach how to read cards, is intuitively. So I cannot remember the last time I looked at a book from a deck of cards. I mean, you can kind of see because the books look like they haven't been touched. I never use the books. That's not to say that books are something that you should ignore, or it doesn't make you a better reader if you don't look at a book. It's not that at all. It's just the way that I have, I guess, primed my intuition is when I stopped using things like books and guides and started to really trust my own guidance when I'm working with the cards, has helped me in other areas, like becoming more kind of attuned to energy, using my intuition. So if you use a book, that's like not a problem at all. If you enjoy using a book, that's not a problem at all. Sometimes the odd time, if I'm doing a reading for myself, I might like dive into the book. I say that, but that very rarely happens. There is a couple of decks that I do recommend that you do use the book, and that is Alana Fairchild. So some of her decks sometimes are so kind of intricate that you only need one card. I'm thinking of the Kuan Yin deck, and the Lantern Oracle, although it's a Lantern Oracle, I'm just looking over at it. It's a Lantern Oracle. Is that Alana Fairchild? I can't remember. So some decks like the Kuan Yin deck, you kind of take one card and then you read the book, but the book has like several pages for one card, and that's why it's kind of a good idea to use your book, right? But all other cards, I never use a book. So if I'm doing a reading for somebody or for myself, I don't ever use a book. So yeah, so if you have a deck of cards, that would be good. As I said, you don't particularly need it. So let me see. So we're going to begin kind of like, we're going to go through a list of things that I guess when I was learning to read cards, what I used. And we're also going to look at how to build a ritual using your cards, how to read cards intuitively. Yay, you've got Alana Fairchild, Isis, and Divine. Oh yes, amazing, love it. So one of the best decks, I recommend it to everyone, is the one you've got, which is Work Your Light. The thing is with Work Your Light, it's very clear. It's really easy to read without using a book. Excellent to use for business. I don't know why. I just find it really relates to the kind of things that you go through in business. But you would never think that by looking at it, but I always use it for people in business. Actually, when I first started to do business readings a couple of years ago, I started using Work Your Light. That's how I always used that. So we're going to go through the difference between an Oracle and a Tarot deck, because a lot of people ask me that question. So we're going to look at that. What to look for when you're reading Oracle cards for yourself. We don't have numbers in Oracle cards generally, so you're looking for other things like symbols, some sort of pointer to help you out if you're just beginning to read it intuitively. We're going to look at shuffles and spreads briefly, because we kind of know that, but there's some spreads that you can use that are super helpful. What to do if you get a new deck of cards. Things like clearing energy from cards is important to do every now and then. How to ask for guidance, asking questions, reading intuitively, which is like the whole thing, I guess, really. Embodying the energy of the card, which is something I highly recommend to have a deeper connection to your cards. And you can also journal with the cards, and how often to read cards for yourself, right? I mean, if you want to read cards for other people, that's totally cool. Of course, always remember, if you're reading cards for other people, to recognize the law of free will. right? So some people will expect you to give them a reading perhaps and predict something for them, like the future or something like that, especially if you have psychic tendencies. I think that you can see it all. And you can give advice and give a reading through cards, but you always have to, and they always have to recognize that there is the law of free will. Things change. We can't say something is set in stone, essentially. That's like a caveat. Oh, the starseed one. I haven't got the starseed one actually. Keep meaning to get that one, but I can't have them all. So my original first ever deck was Doreen Virtue. It's my favorite deck. I have it in storage in Ireland, and I'm so happy that I have it in storage in Ireland, because now they're about 300 quid each because you can't get them, they're out of print. But Doreen Virtue was like the original angel worker, I guess, and she did a lot of oracle decks and they're beautiful. Now I highly rate Kyle Gray. Obviously I love Kyle Gray, love Alana Fairchild, like more in-depth kind of thing. Rebecca Campbell, and who else do I have? Kind of all the rest. I'm looking over here because I've got a big stack of them over here, like a mixture, honestly. Like I've got a complete mixture of so many people. But it's important when you're getting a deck of cards that you feel drawn to those cards. Don't just buy them because other people have them, because I found myself when I've bought cards because somebody says, oh, this is a great deck, or you should get this deck. When I've bought those cards, I don't connect to them. So I find it very difficult to work with them then. And it'll take me a while. Sometimes after a while, I'll start to get into them. Sometimes I just don't get into them all. And it's kind of like someone recommending a book to you. You have to have the same kind of taste, almost, connection. If you don't have the connection, it's like, oh, I don't vibe with this, so I'm just not getting the message. So it doesn't become clear. The message doesn't become clear, and it's hard to read for yourself and for other people. So when you first get a card deck, it's important that you like it, that you feel drawn to it, that you feel connected to it. And what I would say when you first get a deck of cards is to take it and look at every single picture. So take every single card, look at every picture. The reason for that is because it's not just about you looking at the picture. Oh, you've never done that. Yeah, so it's not just about you looking at the picture, it's about you also touching every single card when you first get them. So it's important just to take in every single card and look at the picture. So that's one of the ways you can connect to your deck, is by doing that. Also, when you first get a deck, it's important that you clear it. So what I like to do is, I bought a candle for this. I like to run my deck of cards on each edge over a candle. Obviously, you know, a few inches away from the candle. We're not setting the house on fire here. So I like to do that. It clears off any energy. You can also use selenite if you want to. I have a couple of selenite wands. You can run them around your decks. Another thing that I do quite regularly is knock it 3 times. That's also clearing off any energy. So it's important that you have that kind of the sense that you'd clear your own energy field, that you also clear the energy field of your cards. Okay, it's kind of good spiritual practice to do that, because especially if you're reading for other people, their energy is imprinted in the cards every single time, right? So you don't want to carry their energy into the next reading and the next reading. And what happens is, this is how you know that you need to clear your cards. Your reading starts to get muddy, which means that you're not getting a clear answer. Everything seems like not to make any sense. So that is almost a signal to you to like clear your deck and then start again, because there's something weird happening. And generally it's like a build-up of energies, which is all through your cards, and you need to clear it. With tarot cards, I find it more important with tarot cards to clear my deck more often than I would with Oracle. I don't know why that is. Tarot cards, if you get a muddy reading with a tarot card, it just like the whole reading just does not make any sense. So it's important to have that around tarot cards. The difference, everyone always asks me this question, and the difference between Oracle and tarot cards is essentially, the way I like to describe it is your tarot deck is like when you buy a book and you read every page or every chapter, that's your tarot card. So it's like every single page or chapter tells a story, right? We're getting lots of intricate information in each single card. So that's the tarot, whereas your oracle is like you going into a bookstore, picking up a book, looking at the back page, the blurb, and it tells you like an overall picture. That's the oracle. So it's giving you like an overall view of the information. Okay, so I like to blend oracle and tarot together and reading sometimes because I'm getting the little details in the tarot, and then the oracle then balances it by giving like an overall guidance. So tarot, you kind of have to learn to use it. I mean, tarot, you can do intuitive readings. I intuitively read everything, right? But I know the rules of tarot, as in the numbers. I know what everything means in tarot, and then I blend it to my intuition to use it that way. Okay, but you don't have to know the rules, you know. It's up to you if you want to learn it or not. Some decks with the tarot get very complicated. Like I'm thinking about what's the name of it? Wild Soul, I think it's called. I can't see because I've no glasses on. Their decks, their tarot decks are really difficult to read if you're reading from intuition because they all look very similar. So you kind of need to know the suits and the major and minor arcana. Maybe one day I'll do like a class on tarot because it's a whole thing. It'll take ages to do it. So yeah, that's the difference. So oracle cards give you an overall view, whereas tarot gives you the intricate details of everything. And that's why tarot is so great. The thing is with tarot, what some people don't like is tarot can be very much in your face. It's quite blunt and it tells you the way it is, but it also gives you important information that you can use. Whereas oracle is always, oracle is always it's always kind of, no, I was going to say it's always nice. It's not always nice, but it gives you like a sense of comfort and guidance. Whereas tarot, sometimes you can be a little bit like, but I love that. And the way I read tarot, it's very much from a place of love. So all of the work that I do is from that place. And that's not to say that I'm like making everything rainbows and butterflies, but I like it to feel like you are getting something tangible that you can use, but I'm not judgy, right? Because I've certainly had people in the past, clients who have come to me or people who've come to me for a reading and haven't had a reading for a long time because they've been put off by people they've had readings from before, tarot readers, who have been very unkind and very judgy and pointed out their mistakes and things like that. And I don't like that's just not what I vibe with. I think we should always be focusing on, okay, how can we make this better for you? You know, not you did that and that's a really bad thing and why did you do that and you need to process it. That's not what we're doing. Okay, so if you go to somebody like that, know that that's not the way tarot needs to be done. And there's a lot of tarot readers out there who read it the way I do. And I would say predominantly now people read tarot that way, but I think people get scared of tarot as well because we think about crystal balls, fortune tellers, and all of that jazz. And it doesn't have to be that way. So let me talk about decks as well. So we've got oracle decks, right? So oracle decks are any decks that are not tarot, essentially, right? Some of them say on the box, for example, you can't really see it, or it says oracle. Okay, here we go. It says oracle here. Okay, so oracle decks. Also, you know, a way of thinking about oracle decks is the oracle. remember in the Matrix, if you didn't see it, it's okay. The Oracle, where they went to this person, I think it was just a voice, wasn't it? It was a her, and she had all of the information, and that's like the Oracle cards. You can glean so much information from Oracle cards. That's why I call it like the overall, because it has everything in it, right? Angel cards. What are angel cards then? Angel cards are Oracle, but they only work with angel energy, right? So they're almost infused with angel energy. So it is a different vibe. So if I read angel cards, I'm reading it from the vibration of angels. It's not the same as Oracle, but there's an overlap. As in, the pictures are very similar. There is the overall guidance, but it's infused with the angel energy. What I like to do as well, you don't have to have rules, you know. I think sometimes we tie ourselves into, oh, it should be this way. Oh, it should be this way. You don't have to, you can do anything to do with cards to make it more suited to you and make it more intuitive. I'm all about like reading intuitively and doing things that feel good, right? So this is my favorite angel deck. It's 2 Kyle Gray decks mixed together. People have probably heard me talk about this so many times. So I blended 2 angel decks together, and it's called my mega deck. And I love it. I love having these 2 together. I couldn't imagine having them separate. I wanted to put them together, and I've worked with this deck in angel healings and doing angel work for a long time. So if you something tells you, oh, I want to put these 2 together, it would be really amazing to blend them, do it. Certainly do it. Always trust your intuition. And the way I teach reading cards, and you can go in as well into the course hub and take intuitive daily card pull, which is this essentially, but in a bigger form. So the way I teach how to read cards is intuitively. Okay, so why would you want to do that? Because when you learn to read cards intuitively, it also helps you everywhere else. So it helps you to strengthen your intuition. So if you want to go on to doing mediumship, channeling, past lives, Akashic records, you've primed your intuition already, and it helps you, like in general, in real life, to feel energy and all of that. This lighting makes me look like I've got a big red face. It looks like I'm really hot, but I'm actually not that hot. So let's look then at, I'm going to look at things to look out for on the cards, but briefly, I'll show you shuffling, okay? So we all, I think, know how to shuffle cards, right? Some people find it really difficult. Me, I'm not one of these people where you see them like doing amazing shuffling. I can't do the thing where I do it this way and flip it. Plus, I don't really like bending my cards by doing that, but you can also do it that way, right? A shuffle is anything. Some people just literally like mix them up on a table because they can't do the shuffling. Whatever works for you, but making sure that I do my intuition here too, making sure that it is well shuffled after every reading. And how do you know? I always get an intuitive nudge that it's okay now, we've shuffled enough, right? So I don't go on and on and on. Sometimes I go on for longer. It depends what was happening with this deck before. Then when I've shuffled, I break it up into 3 pieces, right? And then I bring it back together the opposite way, okay? Then when I'm taking a card, you can either fan your cards out and then feel, you can close your eyes if you want to, you can feel exactly which card you want to take from the fan. Okay, I usually use this finger and then I take the card, okay? Or you can take it from the top, or you can split the deck and take either one of these, right? So whatever works for you. I do it differently a lot of the time because I trust my intuition on everything. So if my intuition is saying fan it out, I'm fanning it out. If my intuition is saying take the top, I take the top. And when I'm doing reading, sometimes you'll hear me if you get a recorded reading from me, I'll shuffle the deck and everything, and then all of a sudden I'll be like, I need to use a different deck, because I'll get a nudge in my intuition saying, no, we need to use this deck. And it's the same where I take it. I pause for a minute and I'm like, I'm taking it from the top, or I'm splitting the deck, or I'm fanning it out, right? So always go with your intuition. How do you know it's your intuition? You get some sort of feeling, some sort of nudge. It's like, I just know that's what I need to do. So trust it, always, 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 always. I promise you get the best reading if you trust your intuition. So that's your shuffles. You know, super simple. We all know how to shuffle. Some spreads you can use. So you can use some real simple ones, like past, present, and future is a nice one to use. You can get tons of spreads now online on Pinterest. You can get different spreads for moon cycles, for the month, all over Instagram. And you can just go with what works for you. If you have, like, you can also write down like some things that you want answers to, or some things that you've been pondering, or some things that have been coming up for you recently when you've been journaling or thinking. And you can write down those things, like however many it is. And then you can pull a card on each of those. And that could be your spread, right? So you're making a spread that way. When I'm doing a spread for angel readings, if you've had an angel reading from me, you know this is the way I do angel readings. So angel readings, I do the strength, the heart, and the challenge. So the strength is any strength you can find from that card, what your strengths are, what your strengths have been, what strengths to look out for. Your heart is the deepest message of a reading. Like, it's the most important thing. It's like the heart of that reading, heart of the matter. And the challenge is potentially some challenges that could be coming up for you, or challenges to look out for. Or it can sometimes be challenges that you've overcome in the past. Okay, so the strength, the heart, and the challenge. And I do that with angel cards. You could certainly use that for oracle cards too. But your past, present, future, people love that one. Look out for spreads on Instagram, Pinterest. Biddy Tara, I think she does some as well on her website. And then there's the other thing where I'm looking over here because I'm looking at my notebook. You can write down some things that have been coming up for you, turn it into a spread, so you're getting the answers that you need. How often do you want to do a reading for yourself? Go with your intuition. How many times am I going to say intuition? Trust your intuition. Also, you know, you could do it full moon, new moon. You could do it every month. Some people like to do it at the beginning of the month or the end of the month to see what's come up for them. Quarterly, you could do it with seasons, whatever works for you. Often I get a feeling I really want to do a reading for myself. I guess for myself, I do readings once every couple of months now. Not very often. And I think that's because I'm psychic as well, so I'm always receiving information in, but also I do a lot of stuff where I'm reading stuff for other people. So sometimes it's like that thing where you're doing the work for other people all the time and you just don't do it for yourself. And the other thing is with me, because I'm very connected to my intuition, I feel like I'm getting the answers all the time. So when I do readings, it's usually because I can't see the answer clearly for myself, or I just want to do it for fun. So I'll do it for fun. So that's how often, that's your shuffles and everything. What about, we've done clearing our decks and getting new decks. What about like building a ritual? I think rituals are so important. So I always recommend this to people if you're trying to build a consistent practice in anything, but in things like meditation, turn it into a ritual. If you want to get into reading cards for yourself or other people, turn it into a ritual. If you want to exercise more consistently, turn it into a ritual. You know, rituals have, sometimes, you know, I've heard people say kind of negative things about rituals, that they don't work, or you're kind of tying yourself into something. What I see rituals is almost like building a habit, but enjoying it at the same time. Like, rarely, I would say, when you do a ritual, do you think negatively of it. Like, you kind of enjoy it, right? So how can you build a ritual around reading cards? You could do this where, like, set up a candle, you know, get some crystals, do some clearing. That's a really beautiful ritual, to take some time to clear your decks. Spray some beautiful aura spray. I'm actually going to spray some now because it smells lovely. Spray some aura spray. Sometimes I'll move my body first, do some yoga, and then I'll read my cards. So whatever works for you, taking time to choose whatever deck you want to choose by trusting your intuition, setting up your space. So I like to clear my space. I don't want any clutter and everything around me. If I'm reading, you'll see me, I keep playing with my watch, because I'm actually doing a reading. I will take off my watch. I'll get rid of my phone, because I don't like to have things like that what might interfere with a reading, especially if it's for somebody else. I would be very strict in terms of when I'm reading for other people. I like it to be clear, no electrical stuff like this. I know I'm on a computer, but nothing that's interfering with my energy field, because I want to get the best and clearest reading for that person I'm reading for. So do whatever feels right for you. If you want to, like, snuggle up somewhere and do it on the floor, do that. If you want to, you know, set up an altar space where you always have an altar, with some candles, crystals, incense, whatever it may be, do that. Do what feels right for you. And when you create that ritual, it becomes something like a gift to yourself. It becomes such a beautiful thing, like a self-care practice for yourself, where you're like, this is my time. We're going into my cocoon. We're setting up this space. We're going to receive some beautiful messages. And that's what I'm doing for myself. And if I ever do a reading for myself, that's what I do. It's a whole beautiful thing. And I love that. But that's not to say that you can't have a ritual every single day with a card. So I like to recommend, if you want to use cards every day, this is a really great way of building your intuition. Also, I recommend this to clients who are struggling to connect to themselves. If they've disconnected from themselves a little bit and they're like, I don't know who I am, I don't know how to feel my intuition, this is what I recommend. I recommend that you keep a deck of Oracle cards beside your bed. And in the morning, when you wake up, you're going to take a few deep breaths, like 3 deep breaths, feeling into your body, feeling into your heart space, connecting into yourself. And then you're going to pull a card, one card for yourself for that day. And you're going to look at this card and take some time. Take some time to look at this card and really take it in. Taking in the picture, taking in the colors, taking in the energy of the card, and just sitting with that for a moment. And as you sit with that and you're taking in that energy, you're looking to see, what does this mean to me? What is this saying to me? What's calling to me from this card? And what am I feeling right now when I look at this card? All of this, it's not just about the card and the message. All of this is building a practice for you to connect back into yourself. So important. It'll take you 5 minutes max. And then you take this card and you put it somewhere that you can see. So you could leave it, if you wanted, beside your bed, and maybe if you're in and out of your bedroom, or when you come home in the evening, you'll see it there and you'll catch a glimpse of it. And it reminds you of the way you felt when you looked at the card. It also reminds you of the message you received by looking at this card from your intuition. It's beautiful. And if you work from home, or if you want to, you can take this card with you and you can put it on your desk. So I do this. I used to do this all the time. Okay, I highly recommend it to you if you're trying to feel more connected to yourself. This is a practice I always recommend to my clients. As I said, the ones that feel disconnected or a little bit lost or feel like they're not in tune with their intuition anymore. And you take this and you put it on your desk, okay? And you see it all day and you keep looking at it and it reminds you of that connection. It's beautiful. I promise it works. And you keep feeling it. You keep feeling that connection all the time, okay? Also, you can take your card like that with a little mini ritual that you have in the morning. That's what I named the course, the Intuitive Daily Card Pull. After that, that's my Intuitive Daily Card Pull. So you can take this card and you can grab a notebook and you can journal on the card. Okay, so if you want to develop your morning to be a little bit deeper, you don't just want to take that 5-minute ritual, you want to like dive into it a little bit deeper, you can take your journal and the card and you can write about what you're seeing in this card, or what it's making you feel, or what it's reminding you of, or what you feel that message is for you. Okay, and you can take a 5 minutes to write about that. I mean, this is honestly one of the best practices you can do to strengthen your intuition using the cards. Honestly, love it. Highly recommend it. So that's a little ritual you can do. And the thing is with rituals, one, you're building a habit, and two, it's something that you want to return to because it makes you feel good. Okay, so don't turn it into a chore. We want this to feel good. Okay, when you turn it into a chore, you don't want to do it anymore, and it gets really kind of boring. And it's a bit like meditation. That's why I always say to people, get really comfortable when you're meditating, because if you're not comfortable, you will not come back because you disliked it, you felt uncomfortable. Okay, so make it work for you. That's the most important thing here. So I'm going to remind myself of my notes here. So yes, so then asking for guidance, asking questions, etc. How do you do that? So you can kind of ask the same thing every day. If you're going to do that daily intuitive card pull, perhaps you might want to ask, what message is there for me today? What can you reveal to me today? What do I need to know today? What's important information I need to know today? Anything like that, really. Keep it very open-ended. We don't want to, unless you're desperately needing a yes or no answer. Okay, thing with yeses and nos, they can get a little bit abstract with Oracle cards if you're asking yes or no, unless you pull yes from this or no from this. There is a few decks that have yes and no. A lot of them don't. So it can get a little bit like, if I'm asking a yes or no, I wonder what this card actually is on the top here. And I get clear my vibes. Perhaps I asked something about energy, and then this could be a positive, right? It could be a positive, yes, you need to clear your vibes. It could also be a negative, no, because you need to clear your vibes. You see what I mean? So I would try and keep it open-ended if you can. You will get more information that way if you keep it open-ended. So asking questions from your heart as well. That's why it's important to take a few breaths and create a space. So you're building a ritual, so then you can connect in, what is it that I really want to know right now? Because you'll find your logical side of your brain is like, is that money arriving tomorrow? You know, you want something deeper than that, something more important. And so that's kind of how you're asking questions. Nothing is, there's no wrong way of doing that though. It's really like about you and what feels right for you, right? So whatever works for you is the most important thing. So with tarot, we were saying like tarot is associated with numbers, right? There we go. One of my favorites, the 5 of Cups, right? We've got our 5 Roman numeral here. So that's why tarot is pretty easy to read intuitively. We've got our number, we can relate it to the tarot, relate it to numerology. We also know that cups are connected to water and emotions. We've got water here, emotions. We've got a bridge, usually means that we're getting somewhere, we're getting to the other side. So things like that, right? So tarot can be quite easy to read intuitively when you sort of know the background rules, like numerology and what the suits mean and what the major arcana means and what the minor arcana means. So what about Oracle? Okay. We've already looked at that one, so I'm going to take this one. Okay, so for example, we pull this card, Sky Father, okay? And you're reading this intuitively, and you're looking at this and you're trying to find out, what does this mean for me right now without looking at the book? Taking time, it's not very good, is it? You can't see it very well. I think it's the light in here now is pretty poor. So Sky Father, okay, Sky Father is the masculine, right? So if we think about Earth Mother, Sky Father, okay, we've got our feminine energy is the earth and the masculine is the sky. That's why it's Sky Father, okay? So that's one thing, masculine. The next thing we're seeing is the eagle, right? Eagles are generally connected to delivering wisdom. Anything to do with like birds are very much connected to wisdom, right? So if you see owls, eagles, things like that, they're full of this wisdom, and it's asking you to tap into your own wisdom. Also with birds, how can you like zoom out and look in at things from a different perspective? So it's asking you to look from a different perspective as well when you see a bird. Then we've got this guy here, and you might be like, well, it's just a guy. Okay, we can look at this guy and we can look that he's quite old. So wisdom, we've got 2 points here about wisdom. So where are we getting wisdom? Sky Father, from the universe, right? So look out for wisdom from the universe and what is calling to you around getting wisdom from the universe. Maybe it's more of like, I need to surrender to the wisdom of the universe. But take time, this takes practice. Take time to look at everything. You can look even at his expression. What is his expression telling to me right now? Like, what am I feeling when I look at him? That's important too. We've got some lightning bolts here as well. What does that mean to me? For me, that's like change a little bit, because the energy changes, right, when we get lightning, and usually like we might get rain or something afterwards. So how am I feeling about all of those things on this card? And then we've always got with an oracle card a little message at the bottom where it says trust in the unknown. Okay, so taking time to not just look at the message, but to look at all of it. What am I seeing here? And I find this so powerful to look. You have a person, look at them, because I promise you, you might think that I sound insane right now, but look at them, because that contact you get with their eyes and all of the things when you look at, I always feel something. I just felt it then, right? And it starts to stir something in me, feelings. My intuition then starts to talk to me about what this means to me. So that's how you read intuitively. That's how you read intuitively. I don't know why I repeated myself, but I'm trying to get to the point, right? That's it in a nutshell. So that's how I've always read cards for years and years and years before I even had my business. I used to do card readings for friends and stuff, and I've always done it this way. Right at the beginning, when I first started, years and years ago, when I bought that Doreen Virtue deck, I did use book, but I haven't used a book in years. So I take the card, I sit with the card, I connect to myself, and I look deeply into the card, to every single detail. What am I seeing? See, this card, you might just see a woman and she's got a cape on and it's red, but look, you've got the heart symbol, got the rose, red roses connecting to the divine feminine, right? Also, if I haven't done one for so long now, but when I used to do readings for people connecting to passed over loved ones, the rose symbol like that would mean mother to me. So somebody's mother or grandmother was trying to come through to me, and that's what that would be. That would be my symbol. I'd get that symbol in, like I'd see it. So what else are you seeing here? I'm feeling into, what's the feeling I'm getting from this? right? That's how you do it. So you can do that with any type of Oracle card deck, any type at all, okay? Sorry, I need to have a little water. So that's how you're connecting intuitively. And then, you know, if you do want to go on to read for other people, you just do the same, but you're connecting to their energy first. So what I do in readings with other people is I always tell them if it's a recorded reading, same if it's a one-to-one Zoom reading, I'll always say, just give me a moment because I'm just going to connect into your energy. So I do that even though they're somewhere else and I'm doing a recorded reading. I take a minute and I breathe and I close my eyes and I connect into their energy. So I feel into it. And I might ask my guides to connect me to their energy, and I ask that only information from the highest guidance comes through. I only want information from the highest guidance, and the information that I receive is for the highest good of all involved, me and them included, okay? And I always take that time. That's part of my ritual for reading for other people, is to connect to the energy before I start, and then I start doing it. And then I read it from the perspective of, what am I feeling about this card and this feeling around this card for that person, right? That's what I do. And that's how I've done hundreds of card readings and had, I don't have any testimonials of card readings on my website. I always think I should do that, but honestly, I've got hundreds of them. Is by that. That's how I do it. And I've deeply understood my intuition. And then the more you do it, right, you can do this. It's not like I'm some sort of gifted person, right? You can do this. The deeper you understand your intuition and know it, it flows out everywhere and it gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger, right? So it's so important. It is, honestly, because you can use it in every area of your life. So that's how you're going to do that. So you look deeply, you feel deeply. What am I seeing here? What kind of symbols am I seeing? What kind of colors am I seeing? What is that meaning to me, right? So I'm just conscious of time because it's one of those things that I'll talk about all night. So that's your reading intuitively. So what about embodying the energy of the card? Like we said, if you're doing that ritual where you've taken the card and maybe you've journaled about the card, how can I embody the energy of the card today? It's like setting an intention, okay? Intentions are so important. So if I'm reading for other people, if I'm doing mediumship, if I'm doing past lives, if I'm doing channeling for people, it's important that I set an intention. When I'm teaching people how to channel, I ask them to set an intention. What is my intention? Could be my intention is to open up to any messages that need to come through today. My intention could be to connect to angels. My intention could be to connect to past over loved ones, right? What's your intention? So your intention of the day could be your question, but also if you've already pulled a card and you want to embody the energy of that card. I feel like I need to get a different card because I keep picking up the same one. Let's take this. Oh, Lakshmi. Goddess of abundance. So perhaps I've taken a card and I've looked at it and I've felt it and I know what this means for me, and I'm going to take this card today and I'm going to put it on my desk and I'm going to look at it, or I might journal about it. Then how can I turn this into an intention for my day, embodying the energy of the card? I'm going to look at this, and it's Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance. I choose to feel abundant. Wealth is an inside job, right? So what is my intention? And look at that, she's got a lotus flower here, which is it's all bright and glowing, beautiful. You can get lost in the cards. I often do. I often see new things all the time as well. Cards that I've used for years, I often see new things where I'm like, oh my God, I've never seen that before. that is your intuition saying, this is important, look at this thing. Like me just seeing that, the lotus flower is glowing, which to me is like lotus is the heart space growing, opening up. And if it's like glowing with light, I feel like it's like lighting up, right? The heart chakra is lighting up. So the goddess of abundance, I'm looking at her and I'm like, how can I set an intention and embody the energy of this card today for the rest of today? My intention could be to look for abundance in all areas today. My intention could be to tap into abundance today, like feel abundance. It could be when I'm having my coffee in the morning, I'm feeling into the abundance of that coffee. It could be the way I move my body. It could be the clothes that I wear. I'm really into textures, like soft textures, because it's like luxurious. Where can you find abundance today? And set that for your intention for the day, right? As your embodiment. Where can I find abundance today? How can I feel abundance today? How can I feel this sense of I choose to feel abundant? That's really powerful, right? Because if you find yourself falling out of that energy of gratitude or abundance, you can remind yourself, my intention today is to tap into choosing to feel abundant in all areas. And it'll bring you back to yourself over and over again. Just like if you have it on your desk and you see it, it'll remind you, oh, my intention today. I think I'm going to leave her actually on my desk for tomorrow, because I was thinking about Lakshmi yesterday. Lakshmi yesterday, actually. So I choose to feel abundant. When I look at her tomorrow, I'm going to put her over here. When I get up in the morning and I've done all my things and I sit down at my desk, I'm going to see her. I'm going to remind myself that I choose to feel abundant today. And my intention is that to choose to feel abundant. So that's it. Beautiful. Like that's your setting your intention, embodying the energy of the card. Would you believe, this is nearly an hour now, so I'm like, okay. But would you believe that all of that comes from one card? Just one card. And you can just do that ritual for 5 minutes in the morning and really, really hone in on your intuition. I mean, it's super powerful. I've been doing cards for years, and that's perhaps why I continue to work with cards. And you may have seen today is the last day that I'm offering readings, actually, because it's time for me to close off that chapter and bring the cards back to myself. Because I've been reading cards for other people for quite some time, and I'm ready to close that door for a little while. And what else was I going to say about that? Oh yes, it's important to understand your energy around cards as well. So if you do go on to read cards for other people, be conscious of how it's affecting your energy, because what I did, and I see so many people doing this who just start doing readings for people, they offer they do tons every single day because it's really fun in the beginning, right? And you do lots and lots and lots of them, and then I see the people burn out, right? And they don't do them for a while or stop completely. And the way I've managed to do them for quite a long time is because I got very savvy with how my energy works around readings. I can max do 2 readings a day, which seems like, oh my God, it only takes you, like, if I'm doing a 30-minute reading, like that's an hour, right? But that's not what it is. I so much of my energy goes into a card reading that I get exhausted after doing card readings. So 3 readings for me is like that would be all I'd be able to do for that day. So my max is 2 readings. And when I finish a reading, always, I say this about calls, but I don't always do it. But with readings, I always do this. I go outside. I have to clear my energy completely after readings. They make me extremely tired. And that's why I've chosen to close the door on readings for a while. Forever. I'm saying that now, but yeah, forever. So I'm bringing it back into just doing readings for myself now, because it's been so long since I've been able to enjoy doing that. So note that if you really start to enjoy this, recognize your energy around reading to other people and have boundaries. Have boundaries, because it's a lot of fun and you get into it. But what happens sometimes with your energy, you put so much energy into it that you get very tired afterwards. So build in a practice if you can, if you are going to go on to do that, build in a practice that you're clearing your energy afterwards and you're putting strong boundaries into how much you can do. Okay. So is that the end of the list? Yes, that's the end of the list. So that is reading cards intuitively. Go with the decks that feel right for you. So always go for a deck where you're just like, oh God, I really want that deck. Oh, I really feel connected to that deck. As I said, don't just buy them because someone said to buy them. I've bought plenty of decks in the past because of that reason, and I've just never vibed with them. And then they just get wasted. Someone asked me a few weeks ago, actually, is it okay if somebody gives you a deck of cards because they've read somewhere, and I've definitely seen this somewhere as well, that if someone gives you a deck of cards, you shouldn't use it? Or crystals is the same, right? It's not true. So if someone gives you a deck of cards, all you need to do is clear it like you would anyway. So take some time to shuffle it, take some time to look at every card, touch every card is really important, because you're passing it's like you're imprinting your energy onto it. Taking time to perhaps clear it over a candle using some, you can use sage. I don't use sage personally, but you can use sage if you want to. And yeah, there's no reason why if someone gives you a deck of cards, you can't use it. Okay. I'm trying to think if that is everything. I think that is it. So do what works for you. Have fun with it. Practice using your intuition. It'll help you in all areas of your life, I promise you. And just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. I mean, it's so much fun. And it really is like such a beautiful tool for you. And if you have clients, such a beautiful tool to help your clients, perhaps at the beginning or the end of a session with a client, you could pull a card for them. People love that, right? So just adds that extra depth. I feel like I need to wrap it up now, because we could talk. We could talk and talk and talk forever. And I'm very conscious of, I was going to say the time, but I've just said that, haven't I, in a different way. But how funny that nobody came. Well, Tara came briefly, but all day today, I even sent a message to somebody earlier where I said, I just getting this feeling that no one's coming tonight. I don't know. I was like, no one's going to come tonight. And it wasn't like, oh my God, no one's going to come. I just had a feeling that no one was coming. And I was like, I don't know. I just get a feeling that no one's going to be there. So I kind of thought it would be myself talking to myself. So that is what happened. So if you are watching this right now and you have questions, if you've taken notes and then you're like, oh my God, she didn't cover that, or I can't figure this out, or I need to ask a question about this, ask me a question, send me a question. You can either go into the Facebook group and do the Q&A, which is coming up on this Friday at 10 a.m. So I'm going to be doing a live Q&A. You can put it in there if you want to, or you can just send me a DM, or you can send me a email and just ask me any questions that you have about cards, and enjoy the rest of your morning, day, evening, whenever this may be. Enjoy reading the cards. They're a fabulous tool, and I've had so much enjoyment working with cards over the years. Honestly, years and years and years I've been working with cards, and I've got to say I never get bored of it. So it's just a great tool. So see you later. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening.